1 Corinthians 11, 27 through 29 says, "Therefore, whoever eats the bread or drinks of the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner shall be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. But a man must examine himself, and in so doing he is to eat the bread and drink the cup. For he who eats and drinks judgment to himself, if he does not judge the body rightly." Well, if you're joining us in reading through this 60-day reading plan, today's reading is 1 Corinthians 11, and I encourage you to read that passage. Well, I'd like to talk to you today about how we can participate in the Lord's Supper. Some call it communion, and that's what it is because we're communing with Christ. Some call it the Lord's Supper, and that's what it is because it was instituted by Christ. So if you call it the Lord's Supper or communion, you're calling it the same thing, just by different terms. Now, whether we believe, as Zwingli did, that it's just a memorial meal with no other significance, or whether we believe that it contains the body and blood or is the body and blood of Christ, it is irrelevant to what I'm about to say. If you're not properly prepared prior to your participating in the meal, then you're doing so in a manner which is sinful. So now, before pitchforks come out, let me explain. Whether you believe the elements are the body and blood of Christ, they contain the body and blood of Christ, or are just representatives of the body and blood of Christ, it is irrelevant to Paul's argument. The issue is how you prepare yourself for this time. Now, we can get into an argument over the other things, but the issue is actually spiritual preparation. If I'm satisfied with my life, living the way I want to live it, I am giving no thought about my relationship with Christ or to God. I'm basically living a sinful life. I am disregarding the fact that I am a sinner and that I'm out of fellowship with God as a result. Now, if I come to church and I participate in the memorial of Christ's death in such a state, I'm actually saying to the world and to myself that, frankly, it really doesn't matter. I can live my life in a way I want, and God will accept it. And in reality, I'm sinning without regard to Christ's sacrifice. I'm essentially spitting in God's face and telling him, just live with it, man. I'm doing my own thing. I don't care about him. Is it any wonder that some of the people were sickly and some of them had died? God will judge sin, and unrepentant sin can result in death. Now, do we really want to live our lives as ones who are tied to the world? Or are we determined to walk as God would have us to walk in Christ and be a witness for his glory and power?